Alright. Okay, so I want to talk about a couple things. Really one thing, but it's like one big thing, so there's a lot to talk about. Where do I start? So my friend Vandermark was talking about the switch between day and night. And he said, where's the switch? And a lot of people say 12 a.m. or a.m.? Yeah, 12 a.m. But when you really look at that, time is just an increment that we've made to represent, time, changing of events. And you can keep breaking down to get closer of when night turns into day, but you just keep getting closer and closer and closer, but you never make the switch. And another example of this is when you take a step towards the wall, and then you cut that step in half and take a half step. Cut that step in half and take a half step, and then cut that step in half, take a half step, and you keep cutting your steps in half. You get closer to the wall, but you never touch the wall. So this is the difference between like an on and an off. You could be on at 0.0001 lumen, I think it's lumen that they measure light in, but it's still on, it's not off. So that's, just gave like 3 different ways to look at that, but yeah, so that switch is kind of, and we as beings that are capable of many things, we're able to make that switch between on and off. And we're going to be talking about a little bit in the body, but really traveling through the layers. They're called like the planes. Some people call them the dimensions. Etheric, mental, astral. They got a bunch of different names, but I'm going to just call them layers, and we're going to go layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. And for this, before this video prerequisite, you got to be able to go through them. Some people call them opening portals, and you imagine opening portals in the first layer, and you go through it, and then you're in the second layer. And you open a portal at the second layer, the wall of the second layer, and you go through it, and you're in the third layer. You can visualize it as like kind of like a bubble around you. The first layer is really close, like around your body, and then around that is another bubble that's outside. But if you try to just expand yourself, you're going to expand in whatever layer you're in. So you can expand and make the first layer way out here, but you're still in only the perception that the first layer gives you. So you can only see what you can see in the first layer, even though you have expanded away from the body. So you have to actually take a step into this new world, this new place, this new state of consciousness, and then you can expand yourself again and keep expanding yourself and go really, really far away from your body, but you'll still only be in, be able to see what is in the second layer. So it's not just about getting further away from the body, it's about changing planes, changing layers, changing your state of consciousness with each leap as you get further away from the body. So let's get to the actual like exercise. So first we're gonna do the on, the light, seeing the light, which is the now moment, which is plunging yourself into the world of experiencing. So like we have senses, The on that we're talking about, the now moment, is what we're going to be looking for in the on, is your ability to sense, your ability to see, your ability to, you know, hear and taste and all of that. And there's different levels of, or not levels, I shouldn't call them levels, there's different bodies with different senses. So, you know, your physical body has senses, but then that first layer around your body also has senses, where it can sense things. And then the second layer, which is like another body, has its own senses. The third layer has its own senses. Fourth layer has its own senses. And they each kind of experience their own world. And towards the end of this, when we put both of these techniques together, you'll be able to choose. Like, so you want to be in the second layer, but you don't want to be in your body. And you also want to be in the fifth layer. You want to be in the second and the fifth layer, but you don't want to be in the third and fourth. So you're going to be able to do that. You're going to be able to control what places, what layers, or what planes your consciousness is in and is experiencing those senses. So, but first we're gonna start with one, and then we're gonna do the other before we put them together. So the first one we're gonna do is getting into the layers and experiencing them, opening your eyes to them, your many eyes, because each layer has an eye, and you're gonna open the eyes in all the layers, or at least that's what we're gonna go for right now. So, like, the first thing we're gonna do is go to the now moment inside of the body. Prerequisite to this is, you know, having gone through your meridians and definitely the chakras and that kind of stuff. So you have like a body that, you know, you've worked with, you've cleared out those blocks or those things that are in the way of filtering the raw light, the raw experience of what there is to be experienced. So you've like worked on your body, you've done all that. So first thing is just now moment the body. And like a cool now moment thing to do, like exercise, is to just pretend you just came to this world. You're just like, whoa, check out this world I'm in. And it's just new to you. And like hopefully you can do this so good that you're like, what is that? You know, like you look at the wall, you're like, the heck is that wall? Like, what is this stuff? And you just totally forget that you've defined this world before. You know, you don't even know that's a door. You don't know how to open it. Hopefully you can get in the now moment so good that you forget how to use a door, or what a door looks like. There we go. So yeah, that's a cool one, is like just coming to this earth. Like you're just born. Another one is to, while you're like looking within yourself, kind of like flipping through pages, and you're trying to find the like freshest page, the like newest page, the most updated page. And you gotta stay on that most updated page. And yeah, when you drop into the body and you're like, okay, this is my new body, you kind of have to keep up to date with that. Like you could do it once and then you'll stay in the now moment for a while, but if you just keep dropping in as a new body, or is it, you know, a new body, yeah, and you will keep staying up to date kind of with like the new now moment. You'll be behind your definitions for the world. Yeah. So yeah, so that's like two ways to stay in the now moment. The flipping the page one to the newest. Oh, another one is three of them. Kind of like blinking. Like when you blink and you open your eyes, like blink, like feel like you just blinked and you opened them and everything's new. So it's like dropping into the body, except you just kind of like, boom, it's there, like just kind of blinking. That one's kind of the hardest one to do. I prefer the one where just drop into the world, here's a new world. So we're going to do that. Let me check the recording here. Okay, there we go, 11 minutes. It's going to be a long video. So you just dropped into your body and kind of follow through the meridians really quick, or trace the bones. both of those, maybe both of them at the same time, just so you're really looking at your body, your physical body. And then you're now momenting it, like you're just here, just got in your physical body. And then now go to your first layer, and you just got to your first layer. It's your first ever time being there, you know. Now moment the first layer. And it's also totally just got like choked up on myself. A good thing to do is to have like points, you know, one above your head, one below, one in front, one in back. When you're first beginning to go through the layers, prerequisite, this is kind of like after you've already been clearing up the layers, and you've cleared up layers, because this is more just traveling through the layers rather than like clearing them and going through all that junk that comes up and all those realizations and crap like that. So this is kind of beyond that. So this is like prerequisite, you know, have worked with your layers before. Which, if I made a prerequisite of opening up the portals, because you've got to be able to do that to continue on with this video. So if you've opened up the portals, then you've played with the layers before, so what I'm saying right now is kind of useless, but anyways. Having a point, because you want to balance all of your layers. I mean, you don't have to. You could work on the right side layers more, so you can access them easier, and you like remove the blocks from them. But then it's kind of throws you off balance as like a circle, because you kind of want to just go for like a nice sphere that's balanced everywhere. But when you're unbalanced, that's when your consciousness is like really can just like throw you around a lot and bring you to different places, and you're kind of exploring many different parts of your reality at once. And when you're not balanced, they don't really communicate well. Like all your multiple beings who are seeing different realities or feeling different senses, they don't communicate well, and that can make you kind of dizzy, almost like drunk, but you're not actually feeling drunk. Your consciousness is just kind of going crazy. So anyways, it just seems to be best to balance. So like clear the first layer, but clear the first layer all the way around your body. And yes, your feet are very hard to clear, like the hardest part of your body. So like spend a lot of time on them and stuff when you're doing that. So when we go to the first layer, we're going to the now moment. So let's get back to that. So we just came back to our body, and it's a new body, new world. I'm like, ooh, just arrived here. I'm like, what is all this stuff? Just kidding. I still know how to open the door. Okay, so then you go to the first layer, and you kind of focus, make sure you get this side, make sure you get this side, make sure you get below your feet and above your head, make sure you're getting the first layer nice and good. Go to the now moment in the first layer. Then pull from the first layer now moment into the body. And then your body is kind of like refreshed in a now moment. And then go to the second layer, find it, open those little portals, jump over, skip side, whatever. However you do that, focus, kind of balance it around. Okay, and then bring it straight into the now moment like you just got here. And you're activating it, so you're using this layer. So you're not only bringing it into the now moment. Well, bringing it into the now moment is like using it, because you have to like focus on it to bring it into the now moment. You have to focus on what that layer sees to bring it into the now moment. So you're already doing that, but you're looking at that layer. You're looking at what that layer is feeling sense-wise and experiencing consciousness-wise. So then you now moment the second layer, and then, which is kind of a crazy layer, but bring it inside. So after you focused on it in your breath, and when you do this, you might notice, and this is like a really, hang on, well, let's do the third layer first. So go out to the third layer, now moment the third layer. Find it, go through those portals, feel it, try to feel it all the way around the best you can. Turn it on, look at it, now moment, and then pull it into the body. Okay, and then I'm going to take like one fresh step, kind of like come into this world again, and you'll notice, and this is like really good for the body, like a really good exercise to refine the body, because when you go out into the third layer and you now moment it, and when you pull that layer into your body, you get even more deep inside of your physical body. So like we all want our physical bodies to, or I mean maybe you don't, but like if you've had the consciousness, or you like the consciousness of being in the fifth layer, you know, because people who are upset and angry, they come to you, and if you're in the fifth layer, they like try to express their anger, but none of it like rubs off on you, like you totally understand. But if you're inside of you know, a lower layer, and they're angry, it might make you think of something you're angry about, just because the state of consciousness, and you might be affected by it more, so you might prefer like a certain state of consciousness. Usually the further ones out are like nicer, because their senses, they can perceive more of the world, they kind of like, they see more, so it's like nice to be there. But sometimes it is nice to be in the body, in which case, and this is the thing, like sometimes, and this has happened to me, like you like it so much outside of the body, because you like that world and you like being able to see what it gives you to see, but then you come into the body and like you're like, you know, wish, and like you'll say, you're like, I wish everybody was just like this one, you know? And you'll say things like that, and this technique, this kind of working with these layers and bringing them into the body, it refines your body to be able to handle, to be able to connect to the outer layers. Because like at first your body will be, your physical body is usually behind where your consciousness can go, because you get your consciousness out here, and then you refine the body and you clear up the body to be able to always be at the fourth or the fifth layer of consciousness. So you're like slowly molding your body to be able to always be in those higher, or those outer or different planes of consciousness, however you want to describe that, but that's what you're doing, is you're making your body more able to handle those states of consciousness. Instead of if you're not like that, which I mean I think we all are, because I don't know if anybody has a body that's able to Okay, that was, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that, because I just started jumping to the end, and I was like, oh, Source, who's already experiencing it all, and then we're a part of that, which means our bodies actually are already at the end, but we just have to realize that, and all of the whole working and making it a progress thing doesn't really exist. Progress doesn't really exist. That's something you make yourself believe to move forward. So you're already at the end, you just let yourself be at the end, and you're at the end. But we're gonna cut away from that perception of the world, because I'm not ready for it. So so we're connecting how I should have explained it a long time ago. Body one with the outer layers, instead of the body being held back by not being refined, not being a sharp enough tool to exist in the seventh with your consciousness. We're sharpening the tool, sharpening your body, refining your body. So we were at the third, and we were now momenting, and we were pulling back in. Let me just do this like quick now, like as an exercise, so all of this kind of makes sense. You now moment the body by focusing on the bones and the meridians, and you just got here, boom. Then you go to the first layer, you're like, I just got here, I'm turning on the first layer. Go to the second layer, I just got here. Go to the third layer, I just got here, I'm turning them on. And then you go to the fourth layer, and you're like, I just got here, just arrived, I'm turning it on, I'm looking around at my world. and then you go to the 5th layer and you turn it on. You're like, I just got here, I'm looking around. And actually going through this process, another one of the things you've probably already encountered, because if you've been doing like the layer thing, moving your states of consciousness, is facing your fears. Because when you turn on one of these outer layers and you look around, it can be scary because you don't know what's out there. It's like going into the pitch dark and you have no idea. And when you start turning on lights, you're like, okay, I'll peek, and you peek around and you're like, okay. And you know, you're looking around and you have to face your fears to be able to open your eyes to these new places that you're traveling. So that's like a process. So, and then once you're in the layer that you want and you're now momented in it, pull it into the body. Like, keep your focus on the outside, the outside of the layer that you're on, and then pull that now moment inside of the body, and then kind of like you're downloading your state of consciousness from the 5th layer into your meridians and your physical body. You're just downloading that now moment into your physical body, which connects them, and then later on you have that connection, and it will be like what we just talked about, where your body will be more connected to those states of consciousness than it was before, so it will be able to do different things, and that will be, I guess, seeable by, I don't know, you'll just be more connected to your many facets of self. So that's like turning them on, is the now moment. Now we're gonna, let me check what time it is. 23-minute long video. If you've stuck in for this long, maybe I should do the little words at the bottom. Okay, anyways, let's get into the opposite state of that. Opposite state of turning them on, which is going to be turning them off. And we're going to start from the center again and then do that. So turning them off is the state of just being, where you do not experience, kind of like when you have your eyes closed, or when your body is going to sleep in your sleep paralysis, where your body turns off for the REM cycle, where your senses shut down. That's what we're going for. We're going into that state of just being, where like nothing. When you meditate and you're just like absolutely just blanking out everything, that's what the state of just being is. And it's actually something I need to work on. I'm much better at turning on and going into the now moment and looking at things than I am to turn my face away and not look at anything. Which they're both skills that go hand in hand and make up all of this. And though there's a lot of things how these interact, but for example, actually let's not get into that, let's just do it. So we're going to focus in on the body, and we're going to turn everything off, just like turn the senses off, just totally. Actually, if I do that, it'll be hard to talk to the camera because I'll just be kind of off. So I'm gonna try to leave my physical body on, so that way I have a way of communicating to you. And I'm gonna just turn them off and try to leave like the 5th and the 4th on. So for you guys, turn the inside of the body just off, just completely detach from it. It's like probably the best way to say it, is to detach into nothingness, into the void, into the darkness. The Monroe Institute, I'm new to the whole focus levels, but he calls it the 3D darkness, 3D black space, something like that. That's what we're going for, that just void of nothing. So do that inside of the body. I'm going to try to not do it. Okay, and then do that for the first layer. Focus on those points, make sure you get all of the first layer, and just be. Don't experience the first layer, just be in the first layer. And then go to the second layer, don't experience, don't look around, just be. You know, and like they say, the trick for meditation is when a thought comes to you, just let it come and then let it go. So it's one of those things. So then you go to the second layer and you just be. And then it's like the now moment, how we would go to a layer, we would now moment, and then we would come back into the body and now moment, and then we'd go to another outer layer. Do that with just being. So you go to the first layer, just be, then pull it into the body, just be. Go into the second layer, just be. Go in and then pull into the body, just be. Then go to the third layer, just be. You gotta move your hands, you know, to like feel out the layer and stuff, or whatever helps, whatever you gotta do. Go to the third layer, just be, let whatever's there come to you and go, because you're just being. And and take note while you're doing this, because I'm gonna take note right now. My right leg, my right side of my body, I've always kind of known this, but my right leg, I was just in the third trying to just be, and there was like a kind of like a light that was on, that was experiencing the third layer that I was trying to turn off, and it was kind of difficult. So like just take notes of those little places where they are around you, where they are in from the position of your body. What is that called? From the viewpoint of your body? No. From the perspective of your body? No. From the freaking, like, the point that you're making your observation from. I can't think of the right word for that, but yeah, so from your body's point of view, where it's located in reality, space, whatever you want to call the area. Yeah, so make notes of where those are, so then later you can go to them and focus on them and put all your attention there to, if it's now moment that spot, now momenting it, or if it's just being in that spot, just being in that spot. So you can like work with yourself. And you've probably done this so many times that you know you're like, I already took note of where I felt it. So yeah, so just be. We're up to the third layer. Just be in the third layer. Make sure I'm in the third layer, trying to find it. Then just be, and then just pull that just being into the body, and then just be. Unless you're making a video and you need to talk, then try not to be fully just being, or else. Wow, okay. That was like totally unbalanced. Like there was just this clear shooting up on my left side, and then it was like kind of jammed up on my right side, so I had to like try to pull the feeling that I'm feeling in the left to the right, and pull the feeling that I'm feeling in the right to the left. It's kind of like a, they call them yin and yang, which is kind of like what the state of, which is like the now moment, the state of experience where you're experiencing and you have your senses. That's kind of like the yin, that's like the on, and then the yin, or the yang, which is the on, and then the yin, which is the off, which is the state of not being. So I guess you could say I had yang shoot up and then yin shoot up this side, and I was trying to balance them out. And I got, that's all fixed now, so I didn't need to talk you through that. And I'm like, I'm sweating pretty bad. The window's not open. I'm gonna turn the air conditioner on after this. So let's keep going with the being thing. Let's make this video not longer than it has to be by rambling. So you go on to the third layer and you're just being, and then you pull it into your body and you're just being, and then you go to the fourth layer, and then you just be in that layer, which is like one of my hardest layers to just be in. And and then you just be in that layer, and then you pull it into the body and just be, and then go out to the 5th, you just be, and then you pull it in, and then you just keep going. I don't know how many's there, but so this is a good time to get into the nowing and the just being and how you use them together. So at first we've just been doing now out and then being out, and just, you know, stretching our now and stretching our just being. Now we're going to use them together. So say you want to be in the 3rd layer and the 5th layer, but you don't want to be in the 4th, you don't want to be in the 1st or the 2nd. So, so what you do is you just be in the ones you don't want to be in, and you turn on the ones you do. So you could just be in the 1st through 2nd, 1st and 2nd, 1st through 2nd. That's just really just one step over. So you just be in the physical 1st and the 2nd, and then in the 3rd, you now moment, you arrive, you turn it on, you feel all your senses there. Then in the 4th, you just be, and then in the 5th, you turn on and you look around. So then your consciousness has become in 2 different places, which is, you know, fun, and you can explore. And say you want your physical body, and you want to connect your physical body to like your 5th or your 6th or your 7th, then you can do that. You know, turn this one on, and then you shut all these off, and then you turn that one on. So that way, like, you can bring the experience of the 7th into your physical world, which would be a good way to take notes of how you're feeling. But like, you can't say, okay, so this happens in the, or this is for the explorers, for those people who want to explore, and kind of for me, because I'm probably going to start exploring soon, or, you know, exploring more than I have. You don't want to have the physical body on, then the 1st through 6th, like, some of them on in places. Like, no, you would want a very specific plane or state of consciousness to be connected to the physical. So you'd really want to be only, or be, so you're not experiencing anything in those other layers, and then on and on. So yeah, that's how both of them work together. Is you turn on the places you want to be, and then you just be, which is not experiencing anything, which is like turning them off, in the places you don't want to be. And then that shapes who you are. And that's what shapes who everybody is. Everybody is who everybody is. That's kind of like that's the shape of the person, you know, because you break it up really small, and, you know, in your arm you have 1,000 little pieces that are on, and 50,000 little pieces that are off, and then in your other arm you have 100,000 pieces that are on, and I don't know how many pieces, that was probably not right, but anyways, like, you know, you have more on over here, and then you have over here, and then your legs, you have more on in this leg, and more just being off in this leg, and then that says, like, that tells what state of consciousness you're in. What you are perceiving can be read by what places of you are on and what places of you are off. Somewhat. I mean, I want to say exactly, but like those pieces, like, I'm pretty sure the on and off pieces get like really small. Like really small. The pieces get smaller the more now moment you're in. Like, heading towards the now moment is the same as like breaking down the increments that we would measure by. Because you don't measure in the state of just being, you don't measure, you don't think, nothing exists. Like, ideas don't even exist. But in the now moment, when you're experiencing and you're on, you can keep breaking down those increments and get really small increments. What does this have to do with what I'm talking about? I don't think anything. I think this is kind of like a separate chunk that I'm just throwing in there. But, And actually, like, the further you're away from the body you get when you enamel it, they're like tinier pieces. So you're like, it's like you're forever getting closer to the state of just being, but you can't actually get to that state unless you just, boom, you're in that state. Like the whole half step to the wall, you'll never touch the wall until you stop using any logic or anything. You can't think, you can't anything, because the state of being is just nothing. Like, no time, no nothing. So yeah, this is a long video, but talked about quite a bit. You have to have those prerequisites of already worked in the body really well, and then already worked in some of the layers, and already know how to open the portals or how to transition from one layer to the next layer. And then this video comes in at this point, or at that point, and it's about, you know, controlling what state of, what body, because they're kind of like many bodies, what body you want to be in, what bodies you don't want to be in, so like what senses you want on, what senses you want off, like just an extra how to shape and create your own perception of the world, and change your perception of the world using consciously changing your perception of the world by consciously doing all that crap.